buddy.
Good afternoon.
Oh.
Good evening.
Evening for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in the
good
Central
morning.
Time Zone.
I was gonna say good morning to some people that I see have already connected.
The Philippines, I believe, would be good morning.
Yeah,
It
in the
would be.
Philippines, it should be 9 o'clock in the morning.
9 a.m. right now.
Yep. And we do have a lot that joined from there. Guam also. I want to say Guam's 14 hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
So
They're in the future.
works out good. I would like to say that the code Turkey 10 will be live for a few more hours. So let's wear the people out at the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun with it. So yeah. Let's see here. Tuck says hello from Texas.
I've been in Texas. I'm from Texas.
Dwayne says, hello, guys. Hope everyone didn't overeat. Good afternoon, Cody. Let's see. Corey. I think we may see Corey this weekend in Knoxville.
That'd be nice. That'd be good.
The Dixie Classic in Knoxville, Tennessee. Jeff and I will be there on Saturday. Let's see here. Hey, you made it on time. Aloha. Man, we got a lot of folks checking in. And Corey says that he will be there. All right.
All right. Come up for a selfie or a handshake.
Let's see. Did you get the pictures of my round head? Yes. Yes, Jeff, I got to show you those pictures that Cody sent me. And Corey, I want to say the doors open at like 7 or 8. Judging starts at 9. And I'm going to assume somewhere around 4 or 5 it's over.
You're cooping in. You're cooping in on Friday, though, right?
That's my intention. If I can get there early enough, I'm going to do my best. Otherwise, I'm going to be there really early Saturday morning. But with the boxes that I have, you can I can put feed and water cups on the front of them when I get where we're going. So they'll be all right. I built a prototype this past weekend with the help from a friend and a template for a box that will hold 3 roosters because that's the biggest I could make it and fit it in a shipping box. These boxes will be easily disassembled. And if you can follow maybe a 1 to 2 minute video and match colors together and use a Phillips head screwdriver, you should be able to put one together really quick. I know that's a huge problem is getting access to those things for a lot of folks. And we're going to work on that. Let's see. Oh, Jeff, light bulbs. I have sourced a good supply of light bulbs.
Are they dimmable?
They are dimmable.
Low flicker rate?
0
Yeah.
flicker. 2700K, cool white, like the perfect chicken light. I'm getting them. I got set up with a company that specializes in lighting systems for the commercial industry, and they have everything from just that particular light bulb to some rather pricey light systems where you can tweak the light for all stages of birds. So, but I don't think anybody putting a $4,000 lighting system in their yard.
Don't underestimate people.
Well, I was going to say the thought has crossed my mind. But man, like being able to optimize it for chicks and this, that, and the other would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But-
yeah, because you want the blue-green spectrum for the chicks.
Mhm.
You know, all the way up until you get close to breeding age, when you switch it over to that orange red or 2700 that you were talking about.
So when you look at the actual spectrum on these light bulbs, they have a lot of blue, a lot of red. They have a lot of blue and a lot of the reddish orangish color. They're essentially just like an overcast day. I was pretty excited when I found the company, and they're going to send me some, and I'm going to look at them through my cellular device to see just how flicker free they are, and yeah, go from there. I was really excited about that because I've been searching for that for a while and searching for a reliable source, which seems to be getting harder and harder for everything.
Is there such a thing as a reliable source? Yeah.
So I found that once you get to the point where you're not doing it yourself, it's pretty difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people say, "Oh, I want a job, hire me," and I hire them. And you know, I've even asked people, "Hey, what do you want to make?" And this one person told me a number, and it kind of shocked me. But I said, "Okay, we'll try this out." I had to fire them. So
You gave them what they wanted, and you had to fire them.
yeah,
Well, I guess that's not really what they wanted. I guess.
I mean, and like I found out after the fact that they were complaining about their pay. Like, well, you know, I asked for a number, they gave it to me. But anyway, that's not why we're here tonight.
Right.
A lot of people this time of year are thinking about getting into birds, starting to look for birds. You know, they're shopping for stags. They're shopping for brood fowl because they want to have some chicks. All that kind of stuff. And so, you know, we talked to TJ because we had him on the show before, and he talked about several of the things that he did wrong. And he was like, I'll make a list. Because, I mean, a lot of stuff he's learned the hard way because,
Yes, sir.
you know, finding an honest mentor is kind of hard for a lot of folks because you're not just going to walk up to a stranger. And if you're new to the area or whatever and you don't know anybody, then it is what it is.
Yeah. If you choose game birds, it's going to be really hard to find a mentor.
Yeah. So, you know, figured let's do this. Let's talk about it. And he's brave enough to tell everybody what he did wrong, the solutions that he found, the ways to fix it, all that good stuff. I thought it was really cool that he was willing to share all of it. So, Jeff, if you don't have anything to add, I'm gonna let TJ drive.
Yeah, let TJ drive.
Well, the first thing I want to say that I'd say the mistake that people need to fix is they need to understand how to take care of a chicken. Period. Like just the basics: water it, feed it, keep it. Make take care of illness, do what you have to do. And a lot of people think it's a lot easier than it really is. And if you're trying to breed show fowl, it's a whole different animal. Even there again, because you're not throwing just table scraps out to it, or I hope you're not. I mean, and expecting to get good results. I mean. So there's that. I mean, I think I heard John Mark say it on an old interview that he said all it does is you need to start with just 2 chickens. He said, but start with 2 cheap chickens. Don't start with 2 expensive. Don't call Bobby Fairchild and order a pair from him as your first starter out chickens, because you're going to spend a lot of money and probably waste it. It's going to go in the trash because they could die. Anything could happen if you have no idea how to take care of them. Which that's something I grew up around poultry, so I had a little help with that, as far as taking care of chickens. So I didn't really have too many issues with that. But one thing I didn't consider is I thought this was going to be a cheap hobby. So expense is another big mistake that beginners make every time. Every time I hear it, people want a budget chicken or, the expense.
Budget chicken.
Hey, people want that $50 flea market bird, and you just switch it. It's a $50 flea market.
That's an excuse. That's like telling your wife you're getting chickens to save money on eggs.
Yeah. Eggs cost me more than the grocery store. That's for sure. I don't usually eat mine or try not to. Try to hatch as many mine as I can, but I mean, it's not a cheap hobby anyway. From the buying your fowl to you got to have you buying proper facilities. I mean, you can have me personally, I don't like to have a bunch of shitty cages. I've been trying to upgrade mine. Excuse my language. I've been trying to upgrade mine. But, the cages, good feed, medical supplies, your time, the cost of your birds, all of that is just so expensive. And everybody thinks it's just cheap to get some chickens. No, it's really not. I mean, like, in which go into expense, we can break that down even further. And going into the mistakes I made, we'll start with facilities. You need to, I think, every beginner needs to figure out: do you want to run dome pens? Do you want to run dome pens? Do you want to run tie cords? Or you want to run a barrel colony? You need to come up with a plan on your facilities. You need to make sure that you live somewhere that you can have these animals. I mean, because that's something I've realized lately, that a lot of people don't ever check their local laws before they go get animals. Like, a lot of ordinances don't allow roosters at all, or even hens for that matter.
So there's a lot of them around where I am, because I'm right outside of Birmingham, that they only allow hens, and that's pretty common in a neighborhood full of garden homes, I would think.
Oh yeah,
but we have one area. It's a town called Hueytown, and inside the city limits they have a 0 poultry ordinance. And in that ordinance, they even specifically list chickens, turkey, fowl, other fowl, game fowl, quail, bobwhite quail, Coturnix quail. Like they get the general name, and then they get specific with some of them. And I'm like,
but I bet I can have a Quaker parrot or something like that, can I?
Well, I just have a bunch of emotional support animals.
Exactly. Mine are service animals. No, I can't say that. That'd be illegal, but I mean, back, like I said, with the facilities, and you got to make a plan on what you're going to go with, and make sure you have the room for everything you're going to want. Is another one. I mean, because that's something I sort of didn't really consider how much room you're actually going to need for a lot of things. And I've seen that now. So I've downsized a good bit, but I mean, even, say you choose to go with mainly dome pens. Well, if you're going to buy pens, or you're going to make your own, if you're going to buy pens, that gets really pricey. Cause what I see is the Mexican pens going for and everything, like the 4x4s and all that, those things are, I think the cheapest I've seen, if you buy them in bulk, is like $36 a cage. Then you haven't even bought.
That's usually 100 plus.
Yeah, and you haven't even bought a feed cut for it yet or anything. Unless you're going to feed on the ground, and I don't recommend that to begin with. But I mean, so, and then you got to think drums. If you're gonna go, say you want to go tie cords. I was lucky enough to have a buddy that gives me free drums, so that was the expense I never had to make. But I mean, what's the going rate for drums? $20 a pop usually for one that didn't
10
have
to
battery
20.
acid or
Yeah.
something in it.
I mean, anywhere from like you can sometimes find some as cheap as 10, but they go up real fast.
Yeah, so if you got a buddy that can get you drums, you get in good with him. I mean,
I was gonna
scratch
say,
his
if you got
back
a
any way
buddy
you
that can
can.
get you drums, then
Scratch
you're
his
gonna
back
have
any
some
way you can.
drums and some barrel colonies.
Yeah, because I'm starting a barrel colony too, just because that makes life so much easier with feeding stags out till they get a cord age. One thing too is when you're people also a mistake I think a lot of people don't consider is your personal climate and the climate of your area when you're trying to plan out your housing and your facilities is what kind of area you live in. If you live in if it's cold, if you're out in Utah or something, it's cold 8 months of the year. Well, you're gonna want to put some wind stops or some kind of windbreak on your tie cord yard, on the side of the fence or whatnot to keep the wind off of them. So people don't, you need to look at your personal climate because obviously what I'm going to do for my birds and what a guy out there in Utah is going to do with his birds is two completely separate things, Also, too, with facilities, security and biosecurity is big. The first two things you should buy that wise before you even get the chickens needs to be a good dog and a 6-foot fence all the way around them. I mean, really and truly, before you put a bird on the yard, buy a good fence and a good dog. That, which also goes right back to it's not a cheap hobby at all. I mean, a good dog's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, because when I first got back into chickens, I did not have a dog. And my first, like August to Octoberish, I lost about 20 something birds, 20 some odd birds. And I stopped counting at 36 raccoons. And some of them, their bodies was the size of a basketball. Like they were huge.
Been eating good.
Yeah, they had. But I mean, everything loves chicken.
Yeah. I've killed quite a few raccoons myself, which people need to include in their security. Something I didn't do at the beginning, and I should have done was buy a plethora of different traps, but live traps, snap leg traps, poison for the rats, just different types of things to catch these predators. Because dog may not always get them, and the fence may not always help. So you need, to continue because I consider it nowadays it's warfare with predators. It's just constant warfare. Gates rapes. We all got that. We've all got that flea market story. I've got one. Don't worry. We've all got that flea market story with that one bird that turned out to be good and it was cheap. I got a $40 shorty I wouldn't trade for the world. Like, so. What the other things I've been like maintenance and upkeep is something I want to stress too. That check your tie cords once a week. Once a week minimum once a week. Check your tie cords. There's a little leg hick, crimp. The cord itself, I prefer to use like the rubber cord I get from Bell Farms. That's what I prefer to use because it lasts a while. Don't die in the sun real quick like the rope does. But just and on your pins, if you build your own pins like I did, most people use a 2x4 bottom, and then they just use a pneumatic stapler and staple the wire around it. Check those staples where you put the wire in because that'll birds bouncing against it, things happen. Moving the pins around when you rotate them on green grass, you'll slowly start pulling staples out. Next thing you know, you pulled the side out of a dome pin, didn't even realize it, and now you've got birds out. And depending on what you let out, it could be a bad day for you, expensive day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I hate having to doctor one after a yard fight because that tears each other. Them wires tear them up so bad. So, man,
I have a really good bird that has no toenails.
Yeah, and that's probably why the wire.
Mm-hmm.
That wire shreds them.
Yep.
And then, and then you move on from facilities, and you got to move into the cost of good feed and medical supplies. I mean, if you can in your local area, find a good 50-pound bag of feed already made, not make your own. You're going to spend what, $25, $30 minimum for a 50-pound bag of decent feed.
Yeah, it's hard to get good feed for under $25.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If even if it is a $25 bag, then you're going to have to add something like Rapido or something like that to it just to make it what it needs to be. And I mean, the cost of medical supplies, I don't think I've got to tell anybody how expensive those are. If you can get antibiotics nowadays, which I don't think you should use a lot of them anyway. I believe just work for herd immunity, and it works a lot better. Just cold till they're not sick anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what Dwayne's saying. Every needs a burn barrel.
you ain't lying there. And a good set of post hole diggers.
So speaking of post hole diggers and burr barrels, when I finally made the decision to get dogs and build a fence around my yard, I used the old school post hole diggers and dug a post hole. It's not the same as it was when I was a teenager helping my granddaddy. And I got to looking at the gas powered augers.
Yeah, those are nice.
Look, I found one at Harbor Freight, and I want to say I paid like $250 for it. And they asked me if I wanted the 1 year or 2 year protection plan. I said, I'll take the 1 year. My wife was like, well, why don't you get the 2? I was like, okay, whatever. But I was thinking to myself, I'm going to burn this thing up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's
or
actually going
never.
back within the month. Like,
but man, I use that thing, and there's a couple times where it spun me around, like all 230 whatever pounds of me spun around, but that son of a gun was awesome.
yeah, now if
Like-
you're going to do a T-post style fence, make sure you get one of those T-post drivers. Don't be out there like I was at the first, like an idiot with a sledgehammer trying to drive this thing in. Like, that doesn't work. Just grab grab the T-post driver. It's so much easier. Make one or buy one. They're not expensive.
No, I used one that I actually had from when my granddaddy was live and helping him. And the nice thing about that is also one of the rougher things now that I'm not, in my teens, it's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot heavier than any of the ones that you will get these days at the store.
Mm-hmm.
But, I can get a T-post down to the plate
Quick.
in a minute or
Mhm.
less and not work myself hard.
And not break the tool.
That thing ain't break.
Yeah, modern tools can't say that. And it's something too, on fencing is, if you're going to go buy your fencing from Walmart, you're already making a mistake because, predators like raccoons, they'll laugh at those things. They'll tear holes in them and laugh at them and keep on going. Like really, you need chain link or better, or something I've been looking at and considering is goat cattle panels. With the narrow, getting the 5 or 6 foot tall ones with the narrow, the narrow squares. I always thought that. I was thinking that might make a great, be expensive fence, but it would work really good and it'd last forever.
I mean, so I use for most of mine is the feedlot cattle panels,
Mm-hmm.
and you catch them things on sale at Tractor Supply for like $25.
You're not doing 1,000 acres with it, so
I mean, yeah, it's $25 every 16 feet, but if you look at, there's going to be you putting this fence up, it makes it a lot quicker. Then when I built my like grow out pens and my breeding pens, I used that, and then I put hardware cloth around it,
right,
and it worked great.
Double it up. You see, that's what
Mhm.
I've been considering going upgrading to, because I mean, most of the time, it's like with game birds, like your tie-cord yard ain't going to be, unless you're a big time breeder, like you're just a small backyard breeder like me. You got maybe a football field size area, or maybe a little bigger that you're going to fence around, for your tie-cord area. Because I usually got my tie-cord area, and then in the corner, I've got my dome pens in the corner, and then my brood pens are up near the house, obviously, because that's the expensive birds, so I want them close to me. But I've always been like that with broodfowl. So I mean, I've been thinking about going to that.
So I got my brood fowl. I got them in a row. Most of them are in one of those retriever style steel cages that have the 2x4 wire and the roof on them. They're like 5 foot by 10. Not cheap, but half-inch by 24-inch hardware cloth all the way around it, and I haven't had any issues.
That's what you want. Because I mean, going into expensive space, if you get on broodfowl, that's people don't. That's one of your more expensive costs. If you do it right, you're only gonna make that. Pay that price once. But people just one thing I think a mistake is people buy, especially me and you, and I did sort of the same thing, is go off people's names, and instead of doing your own research and going to see breeders and seeing what their program and seeing everything, they just buy from a name, or oh, that's a big name, I'm going to buy that. Then you're going to spend a bunch of money, you end up getting an expensive piece of junk bird. I mean, I've seen it happen. It's sort of happened to me. So
there's peddlers
everywhere. Always research, and just don't sleep on that small time breeder, because usually a small town breeder with a small operation a lot of times has more quality because he don't have a lot of room for junk. So it has to be good to stay on his yard. And also you need to study the market and see what good birds are going for. Because a lot of people have no idea what these animals cost. I didn't have a full idea what they cost until I got into it. Like, I didn't really, as the GBA showed me a lot of things, the GBA auctions, watching them boys pay $2,000 for a sweater, that just, I'm still, my flabbers are still gassed from that. I mean,
speaking of which, how comes we didn't see you at the NCGBA?
I just had some family had some family things going on, and it slipped my mind, honestly. It was that weekend until you'd messaged me. But after, study your current market in your area. And here's one thing I can't stress enough. I never made this mistake, but I'm going to say it anyway. Local pickup versus online. Local pickup. If you can't go pick that bird up, don't send them money. I don't understand why so many people get rooked on Facebook, and get money stole from with fake profiles. I don't understand it. All my birds I've ever bought has been local pickup. If I couldn't go to the person's yard and pick it up, I didn't want it. All right. And that's always worked out for me. All right.
Yeah, I'm not saying that a bird's not worth $1,000, but I mean, I've driven 500 miles to get an amazing bird that my friend would not let me pay for.
Right.
So, but I'm not doing that. I'm definitely not sending money to somebody that I met off TikTok.
Yeah.
That
based in Cambodia.
And if somebody says, well, send it to me via Zelle or
family and friends.
PayPal family and friends, and the name they give you is not the one in the profile, that should be your first clue.
Now, don't get me wrong. In one of the Facebook groups, I did meet a guy I bought some broodfowl from, but I met him in the group, and he lived in the next town over, so local pickup again. And I've had good experiences. So technically, I did get those birds online, but I still local pickup. Got to see his breeding operation. Got to see how they were raised, everything. So I can't stress that. Do local pickup. And once you do get to breeding, something that I made a big mistake on is don't try to breed too much. Pick 1 to maybe 3 bloodlines and stay there. Because when you're trying to have a yard full of a rainbow yard with all the colors and all the flavors, and you treat them like Pokemon, you got to catch them all. You're going to get nothing bred. You're going to spend a bunch of money, get nothing bred, and still be in the same spot. Because I've made that same mistake, trying to breed way too much. People want to have. Oh, go ahead.
I think if somebody wants to have more than 3, maybe 4 would be a stretch.
I can't.
If somebody wants to have more than 3, they need to have somebody working for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Or have a partner that has a like-minded partner. Which good luck trying to find that.
Well, good luck finding one you can trust. They
Well,
ain't many,
that and
they ain't many folks
like-mindedness.
like that around.
Yeah, and especially if you're trying to find somebody that'll have the exact same goals you do with your program. I mean,
Yep.
so I mean, I've seen a lot was trying to breed too much, and then let's see here, what else? What else have I wrote down here? Oh, and with breeding and everything is study brooding. Like just because you bought an incubator from Tractor Supply for $60 does not make you a chicken breeder at all. Brooding is like people watch a hen brood their babies and it's easy. Yeah, for them because they do this. This is their life. They're naturally do this. We don't. We're
Yeah.
humans. We don't brood birds. It's an instinct wasn't put in us, and that's where I've made a lot of mistakes. One is you'll hatch too many birds, and then you realize that your brooder's overcrowded. And then you get coccidiosis runs through it, and then next thing you know, you just hatched a bunch of dead chicks for no reason. Pretty much is what you did. I mean, because I've had
So what I have done, like we did a show a while back about like hen hatching versus incubator hatching, and when your hen does it and the temperature fluctuates and the humidity is not the same and all the other crap, like that's fine because that's Mother Nature.
yeah, and she knows what she's doing.
She can do what they can do what they want to do.
Mhm.
But you put that in your hands, and you got to have that incubator down to a science,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to have the brooding down. And I get not all the time because I hardly ever will sell eggs, but I do sell some quail eggs, and I have people, I had a bad hatch. Well, send me a picture of your incubator, and they'll order 2 dozen eggs, $50, $60, and they put them in a $20 incubator from Amazon or eBay, and I'm like, not the smartest idea. Your eggs should not cost more than your incubator.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because, if you go to a good breeder that does sell eggs, they're gonna say $250 for a dozen.
Oh, easy.
And I've seen more. And I don't recommend you to put them in a cheap incubator, and I don't recommend it to not be don't do that as your first time.
No.
I mean, you could go to incubatormasterclass.com and they have a dumbed down, this is how to do it. Tabletop, here's some tricks to, be able to regulate your humidity and all that junk. So, but it's not for the weak at heart.
No. And I agree with Kelly Gear here. Do not cheap out. Buy that quality incubator. I agree with that 100%. But if you can't afford that quality incubator starting out, don't be too proud to find, maybe your mentor or somebody that has like a GKN Sportsman or something that's real nice. See how much they charge you to hatch. One of my mentors, he's hatched a few batches of eggs for me just being a friend. I mean, I tried to pay him, but he said, I get it for you. I mean, trust me, it's much better to do that, to pay somebody to hatch them for you than, to have a bad hatch and you just wasted $250,
Mm-hmm. And so, Kelly, he was having a hard time with his hatch rates on his own eggs.
Right.
And he and I talked back and forth about some stuff because he had a really good tabletop incubator, one of the better ones on the market. And he just could not get it to work that great. But after he sent me some pictures and we were able to do some troubleshooting, I believe he had a really good and has started having a lot better hatches. So that's definitely,
well,
if you're going to hatch them yourself, you need to do good with that. And like you said a while ago, the brooding, that's a science too.
Yeah, brooding is the biggest thing. My mentor told me something that these are words lived by. He said, with baby chicks, he said, the biggest thing is you keep them dry, you keep them alive.
Yeah, and
keep that bedding dry completely.
Petey did it right. He got lucky too. He bought him a cheap incubator to try it out. He also bought him a cheap dozen eggs off of eBay, and he only got 3 to hatch. But hey, I mean, you know, when you're a rookie hatcher, that's not
That's
bad.
big. My first hatch, I got 5 to hatch, and I thought I won the Super Bowl. I mean, I think I've still got a pair out of that for the first 5 hatch. I still got a hen and a cock from it. Still do.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer I'll have the cock for, but I've got him for now.
Now wait a minute. All right. Wait a minute. Let's think about something for a second, right? So, TJ, what's a good hen cost you? If you went out and you had to buy a decent hen, right?
In my area,
$50, $100. What's a good hen?
Around here in my area, you're looking at anywhere. I would say if it's a friend, maybe $50. But if you're a complete stranger, I'm gonna say for a good producer, probably 150 up just for a hen for a good producer.
So let's hit in the middle. Let's say it's $100.
That's cheap.
Right?
Yeah, for you know.
Yeah, she can take care of 10 or 12 chicks, right? She has enough body space to take care of. How big of an incubator do you want? So if you're doing a 38 incubator, that's 3 hens, right? So why wouldn't you spend the $300 to get an incubator? The number of eggs you want to do, right? So,
I agree.
It just depends on how big it, you know. I mean, just count hens. She can do 2, maybe 3 broods for you a year. If you got a really good hen, right? She's going to last year after year. Figure out your cost of your hen, you know, and the number of chicks she can do, and that's what you ought to be spending on your damn incubator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still curious where the crap you're getting a good hen for $50.
Nah, like I said, a lot of the $50 is a friend price usually.
That's a friend price.
That's a friend price, but I mean, like I said, if it's a complete stranger, I mean, if it's a complete stranger, if it's a truly good hen they're selling with it, you gotta get 150 up. But I mean, I've got real lucky with a lot of people I've met, so I've not had to spend, you know, some of these crazy prices just because I've been blessed by a lot of people I've met. So, and I know everybody doesn't get that lucky, so that's why I say do your research before you spend that money. One thing too I've learned was something I do is when you are hatching and you're breeding and trying to get all these chickens, is don't do more than you can handle. If you're a one-man show, you ain't got no business trying to brood 400 chicks. You're not going to be able to do that by yourself. And not be able to, you know, you won't even get a quarter of them to survive if you're going to do it by yourself. I don't think. Like
I was going to say, if you're doing it by yourself and you do 450, you're going to wind up probably with 50
if you're lucky.
Petey says in Southwest Virginia, he knows guys selling stags for 80 and hens for 50. But he's never bought any.
How good can they be?
Well, he says they all say they're proven. But why are you selling them so cheap?
Right.
And, you know, a stag is a bird that's under a year old. So how many times can that bird really be proven and it be like not a lucky streak at being a stag?
You know how you know he's just not just terrified. I don't know. I've bought the cheap $40 birds.
They're proven to be a chicken.
Right, they're proven to be a chicken. That's the truth. You know, people ask me what I breed, and I tell them mainly culls. But see where else I was going with that. I mean, you could talk all day on the brooding. I mean, as far as all the way down to, you know, I see a lot of people in a lot of these chicken groups want to put cedar in their brooders and everything. I'm like, cedar? I mean, you realize the oils in that cedar, you know, the chicken is not good for the respiratory system to breathe. That is very strong oils that are in those cedar chips. I've always got pine, and usually pine shavings are a lot cheaper anyway. All right. And I don't really like to use straw or hay. I know a lot of guys like to use straw or hay, and I've never liked to do that for mainly insect control, because I feel like if you use a lot of straw and hay, that's how you're just asking for mites. I feel like just because you don't know where that hay comes from.
Kelly puts out a pretty good statement question. If you had a proven hen, would you sell her?
Well, probably not, but I don't sell chickens either, though. So
I mean, I know, but that to what some of the others have said,
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people don't realize genetically speaking, a lot of the characteristic traits come from the hen, not the
oh yeah,
rooster.
especially if you're talking about what's going to pass on to your stags. He's going to get a lot of his traits and everything from the hen.
Yeah, so do you really, if you have one, are you really going to sell them that cheap?
That's
The
true.
meanest
Sure,
damn
and
hen I
one
can
is
get.
a lot of people don't know what it really. I don't think a lot of people know what a good hen honestly is. That's a beginner mistake, not knowing what to buy or not knowing what to look for. I think we've all made that mistake when buying birds or just trying to buy what's pretty. Sorry, the bird can be ugly and still be a producer. I mean, it doesn't have to be pretty to produce. I mean,
Are you talking about mugs now?
no, I like some mugs. Now they're ugly, but I like them. I
I
like
was
some
gonna
dark
say
fowl.
and what's really weird is like I've got some mugs too, and some of them have really pretty looking feathers, and some of them, man, they look like they got ran over by a train.
People swear them flary eyed grays that are good, but they're just ugly to me. And here's a
Darren,
beginner.
I can't wait for you to go to the Philippines with me in a month, and you're gonna see some of the ugliest chickens that don't have a name, you know, and they're really good in the arena.
And they brought
So
them into the show on a back of a scooter in a plastic bag.
yeah, exactly, right.
Exactly.
And
I mean,
They
I
feed
picture
on
somebody with their wife driving the scooter, and they're sitting on the back with three of them in their arms,
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
headed
The
to go
same
do the
thing.
Derby.
right,
Heck
they're
yeah!
they're they're on their way to win a million, right?
I know you see. I know for a fact you will see that in Mexico. I have.
Nah, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take me a trip down to Mexico.
It's not as safe as it used to be.
I don't think well, I just don't think I'd ever consider it safe.
I mean, if you know people,
Yeah, I feel like especially I'd want to know somebody locally for sure.
let's see. Here's a good question that Ethan has. How would you let the hen raise the chicks in the pen or free range the hen and the chicks?
I've had
Free
really
range.
good luck out of free ranging in my tie-cord yard that's fenced in. They'll pretty much stay inside the fence. Dogs protect them, and I've had good luck out of that.
Yep, free range them.
If
So
if
she
I
can
was
teach
to
them how to
answer
really
that,
be a chicken.
if I was to answer that, Ethan, I would say it depends on the family. Because in my specific yard, I have some hens and I have some pairs that will throw off some really, really good roosters. But as a mother, she sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't nobody go check out the feed before she does, and don't nobody eat until after she's done. I don't care if you're the rooster; she eats first. I've
Mean
even
hens.
put like right now, it's just the two of them in the pen, and I've got two feed cups. He won't eat until she's finished, and I started out with quite a few chicks last time she hatched some, and I ended up with two.
I also I'd add to that as far as whether to go inside the pen or free range them is location too, where you're at. Do you have the ability to free range them? Because I mean, if your neighbors aren't that far away, they're going to be over in your neighbor's yard and they're going to be tearing up flowers and everything else. So you got to consider that too. Because
I like what Dwayne does. He'll put the hens on a stag cord and let them run loose.
I might try
You know,
that. I like that idea too. Just
you put
are we
them you put
talking?
them on a longer cord, like a 7 or 8 foot cord,
Skip a
and
drum like a rooster.
yeah, yep.
I think I might try that this year.
Dwayne, how did you know? Did you set me up for that? That what Dwayne said, is that a hen that came from me? And it was. I mean, the two stags that I've got off of her had to be separated at about 3 months. But she sucks as a mom.
Yeah, I think I had a butcher hen that you pretty much after she hatched, you had to take the chicks away from her. She'd end up just killing them. I don't know why. She just never would. She'd hatch them off and then kill them. Never understood it. So, but that comes down to is, back to brooding is mistake I made is 5-gallon bucket time. I don't think there's a lot of that needs to be stressed. As a beginner mistake they don't make is when you're done feeding, turn that bucket upside down, sit down on it, and sit your ass down and watch. I mean, just if you can give them 30 minutes to an hour a day, just sit there and watch. I mean, especially while they're eating. I like to do it while they're eating because, I mean, just sitting there and watching, you're going to learn so much about chickens. Just they'll teach you just if you'll let them. Like, just watch what they like, watch what they enjoy doing. I mean, you'll learn so much by sitting on that 5-gallon bucket. And it seems people are in a rush and don't have time to do that. Oh, I don't have time to sit there and do nothing. Well, then you don't have time to breed chickens. If you don't have time to watch them, you don't have time to bat them at all. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. Because I've learned so much from my chickens and where I was making mistakes just by watching them. I mean,
yeah, Jeff and I have talked several times about flipping your bucket over and watching.
Yeah, teach 30 minutes would be awesome. I'm lucky if I can get guys to flip their bucket over for 15, right?
But
if this is your hobby, right, and you truly love it, then how can you be too busy to flip that bucket over and watch?
I mean, if it's truly your hobby, it should become eventually a lifestyle, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, Dwayne throws out another one. He says you can learn a lot about your birds at 2 a.m. than you will being out there all day.
Yeah, there's truth to that.
Most people may think, what the crap? But when you're looking for traits that are more sport related, when you go walk through your yard at 2 a.m., you see who spooks and who don't, and who's used to what, and who's paying attention. Like, you see that kind of stuff, and you know who's observant. And those are some pretty key traits to look for as well when you're putting together some brood fowl.
So, see, I've noticed something about that is if I can walk down through my tie-corded yard at night, and the birds will sort of, they'll cackle. When you walk by and you make noise, they'll see, the light will come on. I got motion lights. The light will come on. They'll sort of see who it is. And if it's me, you won't hear much besides a little bit of cackling. You won't, they won't crow. They don't act a fool. But I've noticed something. If I've seen, say, one of my kids or my wife goes down there after dark by themselves, every one of them will go off, like start crowing and acting a fool. I don't know if they're warning each other or what, but it just seems like with me, they ain't got no problem with it. But I always figured that's where I've spent so much time with them.
Let's see. Ethan also says, do you have your barrel colonies under a structure or out in the open?
I built a lean-to off the side of my cock house. So I guess you say like a lean-to or pole barn or over mine, just underneath a shade tree as well too. So the shade with those is just of the utmost important. That and ventilation is utmost important with barrel colonies. And keeping them clean. That's the thing is a lot of people don't consider with a barrel colony. Those are a little bit harder to clean than just killing up the dirt when you move a pin around.
Yeah,
that's one thing I didn't consider is how hard they are to clean.
You can also hear the sneezing and rattling, and you won't ever hear that in daytime either.
Yeah, because they're sitting there, they're roosting more comfortably, and they're just relaxed.
And everything's making less noise. Y'all, I guess y'all can tell who stays up and has insomnia and who don't.
I work nights now, and I'm also ADHD. I got insomnia. Plus, one thing, when I first got my fowl, any crow or noise they made after dark, I was outside with a gun in my underwear trying to figure out what I got to kill. Then you eventually learn what crow means what and what noise means what. That's one thing you got to learn too as a beginner is you got to listen to them all the time so you can learn what crows you need to worry about, what crows you do not need to worry about. Right. Because I'm telling you, that crow you need to worry about, or that noise they're making that you need to worry about, always sounds different than the ones you don't need to worry about.
You get you a couple of Anatolians, Akbashes, Pyrenees, or a combination of those, and you don't worry anyway.
I've
Because
got pits, and I ain't never had a lot of trouble. I love my pits with them, but my thing is raise them as a puppy with the birds.
Yep, that is important for them to be like that. But man, my dogs make a mess. They don't just catch something and leave it be.
No, they do their job.
I almost got grossed out when I went to check on a coyote that mine found a couple of weeks ago. So yeah,
Probably
it
like
was.
that coyote left.
It was pretty rough, but it got near their yard. Never had one that close either.
I hear them at night. I haven't had, knock on wood, I haven't had them try to get brave enough to come up the yard, but I'm hoping my 4 dogs out there keep them at bay. Because anything moves, they start barking. So I can hear them. You hear the coyotes howling at the moon at night. I can hear them off in the distance, but I ain't seen them on trail cam yet. And seen a lot of stuff on trail cam, but not no coyotes yet.
Let's see. Ethan says, "What do you have inside as bedding?"
Well, I mean, as far as brooding,
I think he's talking about. I think he's still talking about the barrel colonies.
Oh, I just what I did on the bottom of mine was for cleanliness is I drilled, some 3/4 inch holes down the bottom of it. Then I took some wood slats to put in and screw inside the barrel, and then laid some like some mesh hardware cloth or wire across it, so droppings will fall through, and then that way you can just remove that wire and then just spray it out with a water hose. So I really don't use too much bedding because chickens need litter more than they really need bedding because they don't lay down.
See, check the temps of barrels, direct sunlight, and white barrels were 7 to 9 degrees hotter than the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Some information for those that want to do barrels. He is right.
100% right, because I did that same test, because that's why I've got like 2 white drums outside and the rest of them are blue, because I got my buddy to bring me a couple of the white ones, and I set them out in the sun, did the same thing, used a laser thermometer, and yeah, he's right. The white ones get hotter. I think it's because they're sort of translucent. I think that's why.
Yeah, they let sunlight in and create the greenhouse effect.
Mm-hmm. That's been, like I said, you got to, because I drilled also about probably 2-inch holes, about 3 of them in the back of it towards the top. I'll drill about 3 2-inch holes for ventilation that way, because you got the hole in the front for the door, ventilation in the back, and there's holes in the bottom. Because I feel like, because you don't want to smell of ammonia to build up in there or anything like that. You got to have the ventilation. I mean, stagnant air is not good for anything.
Let's see. This is actually a really good idea. Get an extension cord to a radio. Find you an AM talk radio station. Put that radio in the barrel so it echoes. And that'll help keep predators away.
I've seen a lot of guys. I haven't tried it, but you should go by the car lots and they'll have them little inflatable men things that wave their arms. I know a lot of guys that put those out there to keep hawks away and everything.
Can't think of their name off the top of my head. I can think of their little girl, McKinley. But I can't think of the people that run the farm. But they're in Alabama. They're having like crazy problems with aerial predators.
Yeah, it's hard to deal with them.
They got a couple of those, and they got these little things that will flash a light and play a different siren. And it'll do that. Boneyard Farm, that's it, Dwayne.
No, okay, I know what you're talking about with that bunch of hazels.
And like these little flasher, the lights will flash and sirens will go off every so often, and that's really helped them a whole lot with their aerial predators.
One of my mentors bought a suppressor and a thermal for his AR-15, and that's helped him a lot with predators. Thermal sights changes the game with nighttime predators. I just don't have the money to drop on a thermal sight right now.
Let's see. If you buy a good dog and you get their house, and if you're going to buy a good dog and you get to the house and the parent dogs are on a chain or in a pen, don't buy the puppy. Yep,
I agree with that. They should be running free with the chickens and living with the chickens, because if the parents can't live with the chickens, then how do I know that their offspring can?
Let's see. Yeah, I was trying to bring that one up. Ethan followed the molt method that we talked about, and he's already breeding. Just got 100 eggs in the GQF. There you go. That's gonna be nice.
So he sounds like he's happy he did that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I love hatching out this time of year. I've started getting a lot of eggs, and I'm fixing to fill up one of my incubators. And I'm probably gonna do like I did last year and regret it, because last year, when I say I filled it up, I literally stacked eggs on top of eggs on trays, because I wanted to test so many out of each different group.
Right.
And almost all of them hatched. And that early in the season, I didn't think I was going to have that great of fertility. So I will say, once you guys start feeding better feed, when you do your test hatch, be ready for different results. Because you could think that you're not going to have great results and wind up with about 300 chicks. And yeah, that was fun. Real fun.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to start putting my pins together myself. I'm running a little late, but I'm about to start putting my pins together. I've got everything. I got all the hens single housed right now to make sure they're clean. I've been had them, make sure, because that's the biggest, make sure your hens cleans. But I'm ready. I think I'm about ready to put cocks with them.
TJ, how big is your brooder?
My brooder, I had to go get the measurement. I'd say it's 3 foot wide, 4 foot long, probably 3 foot tall. Homemade when I made.
All right. So you're not.
And I've got really lights and added brood plates.
Okay. So try peat moss for your bedding next time. Go to Lowe's.
Okay, because here lately I haven't been running bedding. I just did wire crawl from the bottom.
Oh yeah, no. Try the peat moss for the chicks.
Good. I have a giant bag of that my grandma gave me. Surprisingly, I'm kind of glad you said I got something to use it for now.
So I'm pretty bad when it comes to that. My brooders that have bedding like that, I put about a half an inch of stall pellets on the very bottom, and then I'll put about 2 inches of peat moss in there, which Jeff says that's too much, and I agree. For practical purposes, it is too much. But once I do that, I don't change jack. I'm not cleaning jack. I ain't doing jack until I take them birds out, except for the feeder and the water. I've got one of the little things that you use to dig around in your garden that has the 3 little metal fingers on it like this. And I turn the dirt, I turn the peat moss around, but that's it. And I also don't have sickness. People say, "Oh, you're breeding coccidiosis." No, I'm breeding chickens with vigor.
Yeah, on peat moss, your chances of coccidiosis are slim to none.
Well, I mean, imagine because it soaks up everything so well.
It does a lot better job of soaking up than shavings does. And
I guarantee it. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it works awesome.
But this will be the first year I try the brood plates. All these Chinese manufactured heat lamps, and I'm getting scared I'm going to have a fire, so I don't like to mess with them anymore. So that's why I just broke down and bought a couple of large brood plates. I mean, As you know, if you get the deluxe ones, they have feathers around the bottom, so the chicks think it's mama. But
I don't think you need to get that carried away.
no, I'm not gonna run that. I just need something to keep them warm because, like I said, I just don't trust them Chinese heat lamps. I've seen because the thing is the bulb seems like after it's used for a while, it'll detach. It'll still work, but it detaches from the metal part, and there's where your fire hazard starts coming in when it starts doing that shit. So that's another beginner thing I'd recommend. Any beginner is
with heat lamps. A lot of people, they just go get a 250 watt red light bulb for heat lamps, and they don't get the ones that are actually designed for being a heat lamp. Because if you get a actual $15 heat lamp bulb, you could drop it and it won't break.
Exactly.
But you go get the $5 ones, you drop them, they're going to shatter. So when your birds, not that any of us would ever overcrowd a brooder.
Never.
And when they get a couple weeks old and they start getting rambunctious, they're going to break them and they're going to potentially eat the glass, which ain't good. So I'm a huge fan of heat plates. I got some of the ginormous ones that they have at Tractor Supply for like $50. And I've also got some of the, I don't really know who makes them. They're a foot by foot and they're like $50 and they work.
Well, right now Amazon's got that Black Friday thing going on, so you can get them cheaper than that on Amazon right now for the plates.
Let me tell you something. If I order anything else off of Amazon, they may go on strike.
Wow.
Because today alone, FedEx, UPS, Amazon, and the post office have all delivered packages from Amazon.
That's that time of year.
Just today.
That time of year.
I buy a lot off of Amazon because I don't like going to Walmart.
Oh, amen.
Cody brings up a good point. A lot of people mess up their heat lamps because they don't match up the wattage of the receptacle and the lamp, right? So
if the socket's not porcelain, right?
Yeah, if you can't take just any old light socket and screw, a 250 watt, heat lamp bulb into it, right? You're gonna problems will occur. Like TJ said, if it ain't porcelain. And you still need to look at the amperage or the wattage rating on it. And, it should have a much heavier cord on it, like a really good extension cord. But, you can buy the cheap stuff out there. So,
yeah, they have it on sale at Tractor Supply usually. That's why it gets bought.
Yeah.
But I learned a long time ago is I started buying a lot of my chicken stuff at Tractor Supply when I was new to this, and then I realized I don't go to Tractor Supply for anything now. Your local feed store usually will have a lot better stuff for what you're trying to do most of the time, depending. But I'm right down the road from Bell Farm, so it's a little different for me. So,
I mean, Bell Farms is not your average run of the mill feed store either.
Yeah,
those guys are awesome.
Gerald's geared for chickens.
Yeah. They import freaking Filipino cages themselves. Almost every time I go to North Carolina, I wind up coming home with stuff from them.
No, I see them every 2 weeks when I'm going to get tie cord supplies or feed supplies, anything, or medicine. So I can't go out of there without spending $200 every time.
My wife sent me a text message earlier that said somebody, I don't know if they sent you a bell or if it's somebody from a farm, but I think one of your farm friends sent you something. It's a package from Bell Farm. But I mean, some of the stuff they have, you can't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know where to buy pin scales except for Gerald at Bell Farms. I have no idea where I'd go about buying pin scales. if I wanted a new set.
Well, that concludes our hour. I do not see any questions left in the comments. And Jeff answered the one about ground cocoa core. That does work great. So, with that in mind, we will see y'all in a week. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We would like to take a moment to thank our friends over at ShowPro Farm Supply for their generous sponsorship and support. Whether you're raising heritage poultry, show poultry, gamefowl, or other species of livestock, ShowPro offers custom formulated feeds and supplements to help your animals reach their full genetic potential. And they don't stop at livestock. They also carry Alumacoop's movable poultry housing, plus a full line of Fertrell farm and garden products, so your whole homestead gets what it needs to thrive. Check out ShowPro Farm Supply, where nutrition meets know-how.